Awesome, Meg. Thank you so much for such a kind introduction and excited to be here with everyone today. Definitely wanted to do this session to help folks really understand from the talent side of our platform and from our awesome community members, how can they use PowerToFly.com more? How can they get in there? I know we're all seeing all of the stories of job seekers looking for additional ways to tap into opportunities. And certainly, if you're an awesome member of our community and maybe from an underrepresented demographic, sometimes that experience can be, a little bit difficult. It can be something where you want to make sure that you're finding an employer that respects who you are as a person, who aligns well with, your beliefs. And I know personally for me, that's something that, I've talked about and been vocal about when I find myself looking for a new opportunity. I'm kind of weighing, hey, as a woman in tech sales, as a mother, as a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, how do I find an employer who is going to value all of those sides of who I am and how I show up every day at work? So I think the Power to Fly platform is a great resource for folks who are currently seeking their next opportunity to really tap in and connect with some of the amazing employers that we work with who really are looking to work with great individuals, talented individuals who come from different underrepresented backgrounds. So what I will do is I will share my screen, and if there are any challenges in seeing that, don't hesitate to flag me here on that. But I think hopefully the screen should be live. And where I'm at right now is the main homepage of PowerToFly.com. Hopefully this is something that is familiar to many of you, maybe how you navigated into this event today. But want to call out just some of the different sections that can be really great resources when you are in that job seeking mode. First and foremost, one thing that I definitely want to call out here is this join our community button. If you registered for today's event, it probably asked you to input your name and your email address, but there's always that capability to go in, join our community, really fill out your full profile. It will ask you to fill out some different information about yourself. You can continue with LinkedIn and it will pull in some of that data. You can continue with Google. But as you fill out this information, it's going to take you down that path where you can fill out more information about yourself. And why this is important is the employers who are working with Power to Fly when they're looking for talent have the ability to go into the back end of our platform and look for folks who fit the profiles of what it is that they're looking for when they're looking to fill a specific role. So the more accessible your information is in there, the more detail there is about the types of careers that you're looking for, the more easier it is for our employers to find you. So definitely jump in there if you haven't yet. Fill out your profile as a candidate on the Power to Fly platform, and that will definitely make you more visible to the employers on our platform. So right there on the home page, that join our community button will allow you to do all of that. A couple other things I'll call out. If you ever need help or feedback, you can click into the Power to Fly bot here and click, hey, I'm a community member, and start to interact. And this will connect with some things that can give you tips and advice. But then also, we do have a member of our team that helps to manage that chat. So anytime we can provide resources, there are definitely opportunities there. And then also to stay connected with great events like this, you can always come into the events tab and take a look at what we have going on, from virtual job fairs to different summits, and then also really company specific things where there's the opportunity to meet with different companies, interact with their chat and learn content. So if you're looking to upskill in a specific area, I love these chat and learns because it's a great way to come in and understand from professionals who are in the space, what to do, what type of content there is, and you can register for all of these. So, if you're looking for something specific to really help build additional information, to prepare you for your next role, you can look at all of these different events as well. But let's get into the actual job seeking side of things. A lot of the time when we are looking for a new role, we start to kind of put together a picture for ourselves of what is it that I want to do next? What size organization do I want to work for? What sector? So you may start to have that picture of the types of companies that you're interested in working for. So you may start that career search from that perspective of, hey, this is a company I'm really interested in. Let's see what their openings are. In the event where that's the case, a great way to start that search would be to come in to PowerToFly into that company page. As I mentioned before, oftentimes when you are a member of an underrepresented community, you may want to get a sense of, is this company a good fit for me? So PowerToFly's companies page really gives you a great way to take a look at that for companies that are in our platform. So you can definitely scroll through here. You can input specific company names. So you can say, hey, I'm interested in maybe Pitney Bowes. And I want to learn more about Pitney Bowes and come in that way. You can start at that main company page that I was on, and let's go back there for a moment. Take a look through some of the different companies that are on the platform. I'll click in here for United Health Group, and what we can do is take a closer look. So you'll notice that company pages are really a reflection of who they are as employers oftentimes. What you'll see many times is I have the ability to come in here and follow a specific company. So if this is someone that I'm interested in as a prospective employer, I can click to follow that company. But also I can navigate through on the overview page here, videos about the company itself. So get ready for your interview following these top tips. Great way to learn from the company side and who they are, what they look for in talent. I can also take a look at past events that the company themselves has participated in. So much like we're on the Empower Her Summit today, we can see in this case that United Health Group has participated in Amplifying Black Excellence Summit, as well as a summit during the course of last year. So I can actually go back and watch those recordings. I can view different blog content from this employer and interact with that. And then also I have that capability to come in and read through, about information. Oftentimes there might be information about benefits, about different awards that the employer has received. And then of course, oftentimes at this stage, we want to get to the meat of that job search and click in and really take a look at all of the different jobs that might be available. So I do have that capability to come in here and kind of scroll through all of the jobs that this specific employer currently has listed on PowerToFly. And I can click into any of those and start to gain an understanding of the job details, of any requirements of that role. And then you'll see right now I'm signed out. I'm not in my PowerToFly account, but I could sign in here to apply to this role, or I could save this role for another time and click I'm interested and kind of save it into my list of saved jobs. So those would all fall into a saved jobs area. Right now I'm not signed in, so I'm not seeing any saved jobs here, but that's another field that we can use. Another way that we can approach all of this is if we really want to take a look at it from the perspective of, hey, who am I? What do I do? And look for a job from that perspective. So let's say I am looking for a software engineer role, and I want something that is maybe, let's say, specifically in the New York area, but we could always add whatever filters we want or geo-target that if we're looking for a role that maybe is more on-site or hybrid. I can do that search. And now it's not going to be company specific. We'll see when we look up software engineering on powertofly.com. Right now, there are about 274 jobs that show up. And as a job seeker, I can kind of scroll through here, take a look at specific jobs. I can, really dig in here. We see a bunch from Meta. We see a number from Google popping up. But I could pick any of these jobs and click into them. And again, get that specificity on, what they're looking for, what the role entails. If we click in, I'll just pick one to click into here. I know I've been scrolling for a minute. Let's look for this enterprise software engineering role. What we'll see here is, again, that sign in to apply or that I'm interested button are available. And then again, we're going to see content specifically from that company that we can play. So Walters Kluter here has that information, and I can look at all of the information specific to that role. So now it's giving me the capability to understand what in particular this employer is looking for. And then also, again, as I move through these roles, if I find that this is a great fit, I can save that. Or what I can also do is if I sign in and I want to apply to that role, it will actually take me out to the careers page where I can apply specifically for this role for Walters Kluter. I do have a question that I see here. Do the jobs and companies on the site have to register with PowerToFly? Great question. So Corinne, any companies that you will see roles for here on PowerToFly are companies that have specifically opted to advertise these openings on the PowerToFly platform to our talent community. So that's a great indicator that this is a group of employers who really specifically wants to reach the underrepresented talent community. These are companies that actively are in this space, much like the awesome sponsors of our summit today. They're companies that want to make sure that they are visible to, this month in this month's summit, women in the workforce. Last month rather, during the summit, it was specifically companies that wanted to interact with the Black community and showcase their jobs and openings. So really great point in terms of the companies that you're seeing listed here. They are all companies that have opted in to make sure that their jobs are visible here on PowerToFly. And one great call out along with that is, from PowerToFly's perspective, we help many of these employers to make sure that they are reaching members of our community. So if you do ever need assistance with roles that you're applying for, PowerToFly is definitely here to make sure that we're facilitating that process as much as we can. So I know this has been a pretty quick run through. Now we're on the talent side of things. All of our fantastic employers who are advertising different open roles on the platform do have their end of things where they can take a look at different roles and where they're making sure that they're using language that is inclusive, making sure that they're paying attention to how to create the best both interviewing and hiring experience that they can, as well as onboarding as they start to work with members of our talent community. So definitely a lot there to make sure that on both sides of the audience that PowerToFly gets to work with, we're really serving everyone in a way that is helping to create that process or that overall experience that's going to be a very positive one. So I will pause there. I know I've kind of done a lot of show and tell, but Meg, any questions coming in from our audience at all? Or if you have any questions that you want to drop into the chat, I'll do my best to make sure I'm talking and paying attention to the chat at the same time. Don't hesitate to pop those in. And definitely if there are any areas that anyone wants to dig deeper, whether it's some of the resources, I'm happy to do that as well. See a question here. No questions just yet, but definitely let me know if they do come up. Oh, great question. So if the job posting on PowerToFly takes you to the company's website, is the company able to see that you applied from PowerToFly? So yes, absolutely. There are definitely tools and things that are helping on the employer side of things to make sure that they're able to see, hey, this is a member of the talent community that found us on PowerToFly and came in that way. So that, of course, as an employer, you can kind of connect the dots there. And then also for our talent community members, I think that's important because it allows the employers on our platform to really provide the best experience kind of end to end in understanding where you all found that opportunity from. What can people do after they submit the application? Ways to utilize the company pages. So one of the things that I would definitely say is, usually if I'm in a position where, I am looking for a role, I may want to take a look and learn more about the company to start to prepare myself. So for sure, I think that's a great place where the company pages start to come in. And let's look at Cummins as an example here. If I want to jump into the Cummins company page because I've just applied for a specific role, what I would do is definitely come in and start to understand some of the different video content. So this would be a great opportunity really to dive in and take a look at diversity, equity, and inclusion at Cummins, inside of the engineering team and open jobs, and then those tips for a career path within a STEM background. I would want to make sure that I'm kind of understanding, hey, what's a day in the life here? So I think this is a great place to start to take a look at some of that information. One of the things too, and this may be my sales background kicking in, is definitely if I were applying to a role, whether that be on PowerToFly that I found that role, whether it be on the company's career page itself, whether it be on LinkedIn or another job board out there. I would make sure I was doing my homework. So if I could dive into, the LinkedIn platform, for an example, and start to find potential contacts within that department, maybe the hiring manager, I would start to follow folks, start to understand some of the different types of content that they're sharing, maybe do some outreach to a member of the recruiting team over there. But then likewise, certainly since this is a company that is here on PowerToFly, I would take a look at events that they're scheduled on. So if they are going to be participating in a virtual job fair, what a great opportunity to follow up, ask some real-time questions to recruiters that they have live, and maybe an opportunity to connect in that way as well. So definitely a great place to do some of that homework as you really get excited about that role that you've applied for. Um, can you set up multiple custom searches for weekly job emails? So if you are looking for different types of roles. Really great question. I don't remember off the top of my head how to set up different jobs, but one of the things that I will say is as you build out that candidate portfolio, or as you start to build out your personal profile here on PowerToFly, it gives you the capability to make sure that you are able to select different newsletters that you want to receive. So you will, as a talent community member, start to receive different content specifically from PowerToFly to help point you in the right direction in terms of types of roles that you might be interested in. Another question I do see here is when you put in a remote as a filter, a lot of them say a city with it. Does that mean you are home in the city and remote, or is it remote anywhere? Great question. And I think that's something that we're seeing come up a lot just in job searching overall, both on our platform, in other areas. Oftentimes, when you see that a role has remote, but then a specific city, the job description itself may call out that they are particularly looking for someone in that area. So let's say maybe account executive, and we'll do a live search here. And let's say that we are looking for a remote role. As I do that search, I use remote as our criteria, but we'll see Samsara comes up with a senior account executive mid-market role. And it does say Mexico City, Mexico. It says flexible here. With Cloudflare, we'll see a New York listing. Let's scroll down a little bit. So for many of these, we do see a specific location. It may vary company by company, but if I click in specifically, oftentimes in the job details or the summary, it will give you some idea of, hey, we're specifically hiring for someone who's within this area. It would be a remote position, but then also there's that capability for someone to live in the area. So I would just take a closer look because it can vary from company to company what the expectations are. In some cases, we know employers are going back to a hybrid work model, so they may particularly be looking for talent within a given area. what if I found a role on a company's website that isn't listed on PowerToFly? How can I let the company know that I found them via PowerToFly? So good question. And that's something where if it is a company that you know already is on PowerToFly, but just that specific role that you're applying to, wasn't something that popped up. Oftentimes within the job application process, there will be a, hey, where did you hear about this role? And usually there's the capability to either select from a drop-down list that they might have, or type in PowerToFly. So definitely from our side, selfishly, we'd love to make sure that you're sharing that feedback of, hey, this is something that I learned about from PowerToFly. But if you ever see that too, or there's a challenge where you're finding a role maybe that's on PowerToFly and not on the company's website, don't hesitate to use that chatbot, that functionality to see if you can help out. How can we use not statements in the search to filter further? Let's take a look at that. So you can use some additional filters, and there's a helpful guide here. So definitely I would say that this is something to start to familiarize yourself with as you're in the job process overall. You can use Boolean searches as you are a job seeker. This is definitely something on the sourcing and recruitment side that a lot of folks will use, but this guide will help you find something. So with different not searches or searches, it does give you the capability to get more specific as you are looking for a role. So let's go back and see how it works with my account executive search, and I'll do account executive, but I'll say not account manager, and we will, let's leave that as remote as our filter and do that search. So now it should help us to weed things out a little bit more, where we're not coming up with roles that maybe are outside of a fit of what we typically want to be doing. And as we scroll through, of course, we can take a closer look. Some of these, I may have messed up our filters here because it looks like we're focusing in on the word executive here and not so much account executive. Let's actually use software engineer, and let's do Java, and we'll keep that remote and do that search, and we'll see what comes up here. And again, we have a number of roles that are popping up, and again, we can dive into those, and again, we can go into the description. So definitely you can use a number of different Boolean searches there. Probably an underutilized skill, I can say personally for myself, for sure. That's something that I probably haven't made the best use of, but definitely that handy dandy cheat sheet there can be something that helps you really optimize the use. What else? Any other questions? I am in Texas, but looking for hybrid roles in Dallas or San Francisco. Do I need to separate searches for each location? You should be able to similarly use that Boolean search. So if we're going and saying software engineer, we should be able to use that filter here. So if we did Dallas, Texas, and I thought it would let me add multiple locations here, but for some reason, and maybe I've complicated things here. Give me just 1 second and we will go back and try that again. Software engineering, and let's do Dallas. Oh, yeah, it looks like it's only allowing me to enter in 1 location. So if that happens, I would recommend just doing separate searches on the 2. One thing that I didn't call out too is if you wanted to use that drop down and look specifically at roles by functionality, or if you wanted to search roles by specific locations as well as roles by specific jobs, you can use that drop down as well. And that's another way where we can jump in and take a look at particular roles or categories. So if you're having trouble navigating as you're typing through, you can use these different searches, and then it's going to pull that way as well. So definitely the little icons here, or dropping down and using that browse all, will help guide your search. My favorite tool on this site. So for me, I love different ways to kind of learn and gain content. So I always like the resources section of the site. I think the resources section of the site is really rich, and it's a good way to learn about some of the different companies that are on PowerToFly. There's also PowerToFly specific content here. There's a number of different videos. So sometimes, if I just want to take in some content that's going to be interesting, that's going to teach me something new, I like to dive in here. I think there's a ton of great top tip videos. There's things that allow me to, learn about maybe a different industry. But then I think there are some great things that just help with soft skills. So I'll call out something like build trust on your team, or, reduce bias in the workplace. You can come in and they're, easily consumable videos that you can click into. Here's a great one from Workiva where I can, just kind of learn a little bit more. And I think that this is probably one of my favorite features on the site, is that resources tab. Specifically for me, I really like a lot of the video content, but there are also recent articles you can dig into, and lots of different additional content. So there's so much rich information on the site as a member of the talent community that I think it really gives us a lot of opportunity to gain a better understanding of, just what's going on out there in the workplace. So that's my favorite. Hopefully I covered some information that was useful and taught something new today, but definitely if you want to connect, don't hesitate to reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn, and always happy to help if there are any questions on anything we covered today.
Thank you so much, Amy. I honestly love getting a peek back, kind of in the back seat or behind the scenes of like how these programs and how our platform is built. It's definitely not something I understood before I came to PowerToFly, and now having been backstage, as it were, it definitely makes a difference as to how I use the search features. Um, we do have a lot of people that have other questions that we were not able to get to, but if you still have a question and you are unsure about how to use the platform, please write in. Okay, you can hit our main help desk inbox. It's hi, just hi, at powertofly.com. Write in if you have any questions. We would love to help you get started or figure out how you can better utilize our search features or just the website as a whole to help advance your career, find your next great role, whatever it is you are joining us to try and do. So thank you, Amy, so much. We really appreciate your expertise here today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Meg.